Hello there, and welcome to the character study. Normally I have like a spiel for True Pop Culture 7 show. Hello, blah, blah. Haven't worked out for this show yet. I will do eventually, like a catchy catchphrase. But very exciting guests this time. Looking forward to the show. It is 4 a.m. for me, you know? Who needs sleep? You know, guys? I'm looking forward to the show either way. So, without further ado, let's bring in the guests. That is Master of the TDS and Writing Raven. How are you two doing on this fine and middle of the night / end of the day?
Well, night has fallen, so I'm happy.
Of course you are, yeah.
Oh,
Night would be your favorite time.
absolutely.
I mean, it's mine too. Like, there's pretty lights everywhere, and you know, I don't know. I like the colors of the night, so it's a lot more homely. I don't know how to describe it. Master of TDS, how are you doing, sir? Fair enough. I don't know if it's mic issues or whatnot. Raven, would you like to introduce yourselves and give us like a general introduction to the pair of you?
Sure. We are the co-hosts of the YouTube channel Gothic Therapy, where we comment on pop culture and diagnose the weak with a mental illness, because someone has to.
That was my line.
Well, your mic was muted or something, so I took it.
No, it wasn't.
Then how come you didn't speak?
Because you immediately went straight into it without giving me a chance to say anything.
Well, he asked you how you were doing and you were completely silent, so I just jumped in.
Oh, because that's funny, because on my end, you were completely silent, and I said hi, and it registered me, and I thought I was speaking, and I didn't hear you. So that must have been interesting.
Okay. Might be internet issues.
Well, now I just made sure to plug myself in.
You muted out again, honey. I think it's the microphone.
Might be the microphone.
Maybe they will be.
Oh, now we heard him for a bit. Technical issues 101.
What just happened?
It is an old mic.
It's not the mic. Can you hear me?
Yeah, now.
We can hear you now.
That's really weird because I'm literally plugged straight into it, like hardline right into the router. So there should be no problems. I don't know why it's doing that.
Weird.
Interesting.
Maybe it was just kind of settling. I don't know.
Hopefully it'll be good from now. Hopefully it'll be good.
Seems okay now, so.
Yes. 4 now.
Yeah, I've put all of your links in the description below. So yeah, go check their channel out. They're always posting incredibly reasonable takes down on X, also known as Twitter.
And then everybody gets mad at us for no reason.
Well, everyone gets mad at you. I'm just along for the ride.
I mean, I guess, but they get mad at you too, even though you don't say anything.
Yes, because they've just decided I'm worth hating when I give them no reason to hate me.
That's the whole point. See, you don't have to give them a reason. They'll find one. They will find a reason.
Yes, they just find my writing online and try to say how I'm a failed writer.
Let's not go into that.
True.
When you post reason, there's bound to be someone you're going to offend for not being reasonable. I'm butchering the quote, but there isn't that. But hey, he isn't blue. Yes, I'm not blue. True Pop, I'm not blue. True Pop, I can't really hear you. Might be audio issues.
Yeah, is it? Can everybody hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine.
Okay, that's interesting because I keep having every once in a while you will cut out True Pop. You'll cut out a little bit and then load back up. I don't know if it's me. I don't know if it's you.
Oh no, I just hear True Pop's volume is a little low.
Yeah, I do hear. TDS and Raven are fine. Okay, so it's your fault. Okay, so I feel better now.
Technical difficulty 101 stream. Wow. Okay. Now it's a great start to the stream. I mean, it is in the middle of the night, so I don't know. I expected as much.
Yeah, you have an excuse.
Yeah. Last stream, I'm pretty sure like echolocation screwed me over, and it kind of sounded like my rumbled. Anyway, let's get right into it to discuss the character that we've chosen, which is Darth Vader. And before we get into the questions, I wanted to establish a bit of context behind Vader himself. He first appeared in Star Wars in 1977. The movie was just named Star Wars. It wasn't Star Wars A New Hope. I'm embarrassed to say that I knew that fact. I found that out a couple of months ago. Because, I don't know, I grew up on the prequels, I suppose. And it's surprising to me that little smoky entrance is what started it all. You know, you always kind of forget that because it's 6 freaking movies, and you kind of forget that New Hope started it all. Portrayed and originally voiced by David Prowse, later on voiced by James Earl Jones. Again, the voice was further. The voice was further added on because from what I remember, David Prowse was had like a old English accent on him, and George did not like it whatsoever, so they did have it replaced. Originally designed by Ralph McQuire and Brian Moore. I hope I'm not butchering that. With direction from George Lucas. And little known fact here, in 2003, the American Film Institute listed Vader as the 3rd greatest movie villain in cinema history. His little headpiece in Empire Strikes Back sold nearly for $1 million, and Star Wars in general was sold to Disney for $4 billion. So, and Darth Vader is essentially the face of Star Wars along with Luke Skywalker. So yeah, arguably one of the most popular villains in fiction. Would you guys agree?
Absolutely.
Yep, definitely I'd say one of the most iconic as well.
Oh yeah, definitely. You can just recognize his little. I think it was first inspired by samurai designs, and you can recognize that face from anywhere.
Mm-hmm. And the breathing was made by breathing into a scuba mask out of water.
Okay, that's interesting. I didn't know that.
You learn something new every day.
Yeah, you do. I suppose we'll be learning a lot in that. So now that we established some context, one first question of the stream would be, what were some of your impressions of Darth Vader? When did you first see him, and what did you first think of him in general?
You want to go first, honey, or me?
Sure, because I'm trying to remember, because my memory of being introduced to Star Wars by my parents was sitting down on a winter's eve in front of a fire roasting marshmallows in the room that had a working fireplace when it was still working. And I do remember fond memories of watching a few classic movies with the family while roasting marshmallows in the winter. I don't remember exactly what I thought of Darth Vader. I do remember that Palpatine's face scared me. I was like 9 or 10. Darth Vader, though, I think maybe I just thought he was cool, but I honestly don't remember. How about you, my love?
Before we go into that, the chat is saying that you, honey, are the loudest, followed by me, and then True Hop is still the quietest. So, honey, maybe move your mic a little bit further away from your face. Maybe that'll work.
If I move it any farther away from my face, it will not be anywhere near my face.
Yes, but we can hear you super well, even wherever it is. So give it a try and see if it's on.
And I just did. And as I said, I'm a naturally loud talker. Plus, I got headphones on, so I can barely hear myself speak.
I'm just saying to move it back, or maybe go into your settings and see if the audio is turned up on the mic volume.
Yeah.
What? We want to make sure people can hear all of us and not have it where it's too loud for one of us to not.
I'm talking normally. How do I sound now?
Oh, you sound much better.
Okay, then. You're welcome.
Yeah, now I think we sound the same volume.
Okay.
Yeah.
Chat can let us know.
I don't know why I'm the lowest. It should be fine. I am turning up my audio bit by bit. I can turn it up to 200 if you like, chat. But
Go ahead, 200. Let's go. Full power.
Down to 133.
I don't want to be
Full
too
power.
loud. Jeez. Yeah, Master, what were your first impressions of Vader? When did you first see him?
So my first impressions of Vader, I will always remember, because Star Wars for me, and this is one of the reasons why I get so passionate about it, even if I'm not watching the new stuff, is because when I first watched Star Wars, for me, my dad and me are close. We're pretty close, but we don't really have a lot of things that we connect on necessarily, especially when I was younger. Now it's better. But we didn't really have any kind of things that we connected on. And so one of the things that he did was he wanted me to see Star Wars. So he sat down and he watched them with me when I was younger. So it was one of the first things that I remember that me and him were both able to kind of get excited about at the same time. We were both able to enjoy. I rewatched them like crazy. You know, we would sit down and watch them together. And I will always remember that because of my dad and that connection that it made. For me, Darth Vader, I believe when I was much younger, I believe I wasn't exactly sure what to make of him at first, because you kind of, if you start watching from the original trilogy, Darth Vader is there, and you don't really get any context behind him. Now, the prequels kind of attempt to flesh that out, but I think I didn't really understand kind of what he was. I already kind of knew the twist or whatever, that he was Luke's father. I knew that. But for me, I remember seeing him and liking him immediately. And then I believe when I was, again, keep in mind, I was much younger. So I remember going around the house and pretending to breathe like him, because that was the part that fascinated me the most. Because you know, it wasn't just that he was striking; it was that he commanded your attention when he was on screen. Even if he was just sitting there and being quiet and just breathing, you knew he was there. He had this intimidating aura about him, and that's kind of what I remember.
Yeah. Now that you mentioned it, I think now that I'm thinking about it, maybe Darth Vader was the reason I wanted the red lightsaber.
I think you probably just wanted it because it was evil.
Yeah, that too. I was always that way, even as a child, always rooting for the dark side.
I mean, it's always unfair. Like, Jedi get all the pretty colors, and then Sith just
Yeah,
get
and
red.
the bad guys get all the best lines.
I mean, you could go with like a black or maybe gray, or come on, like a multitude of different colors, not just red. It should be more
I'm
accessible
goth.
colors.
I'm goth. Everything's going to be dark with me.
So, in other words, if she was going to get a lightsaber now, it would be the dark saber.
That is true. After red, it was purple.
I'd probably have orange.
I can see that.
No particular reason, just because.
Just because it matches your hair.
And because nobody's had it yet. So at least no one in the main continuity, from what I know. I'm not talking about sequels. Okay.
I actually trying to remember my first impressions of Vader, and I can't. It was so long ago.
No.
That or my brain is just so full of stuff, my memory is being completely shot.
It's probably because it was so long ago.
That too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I grew up on the prequels, so I don't really remember a time when I first saw him. I especially didn't know as a kid New Hope was the first one on the body, but maybe as I got older, I'm like, oh no, this one's the oldest, because you know it's all really old movie, and then it was then it was the prequels, which obviously looks a lot newer. I don't remember a time when I first saw him. I can't remember if I knew the twist or not. I wish I was introduced to it a bit more, you know. Like, when you ever have like children or anything like that, there's a particular way you kind of introduce them to Star Wars. You start with New Hope, and then you start with Empire Strikes Back, and you just watch their reactions at the father reveal when they're old enough to understand. That's if you can get them not to hear about Star Wars in general. That's always a wonder to watch. There's like been like kids reacting to Star Wars in Empire Strikes Back and then watching the reveal. They're always good clips to watch. But no, like examining that first appearance scene, like it's all in smoke. He's taking down all the rebels and invading the ship, and you immediately start off with seeing the villain, and it's always a good way to start off your film. Immediately introduce the main threat. But that's to say that he wasn't really. Well, the lightsaber was subpar for the first thing, and he wasn't really that active. Like as soon as he got in the ship in the Death Star chase, he got pushed away and spun into space at the Millennium Falcon. So it was much more his performance, his voice, not too much his actions though. I suppose that's what I got from New Hope. But yeah, I don't remember a time when I first saw him, but it's definitely understandable why he was so influential, and I think a part of this live stream is to kind of try to understand why this character grew so much in popularity. And that's exactly the next question. What do you guys think people really liked about him? Why do you think he's on every TV commercial, T-shirt, whatever, all the merchandising, all that stuff? Why do you think people connect with Vader so much?
I want to go first this time.
Sure.
I think that the biggest reason is because he's literally the face of Star Wars, pretty much. Mm-hmm. Like, yes, you could argue that Anakin or that Luke Skywalker or Anakin Skywalker are important. And yes, if you want to look at Star Wars as objectively, like, who's the face of the good side and who's the face of the bad side, right? Then good, Luke, bad, Vader. Like, that's just how it is. And because Luke was always like important too, and he was important to a lot of people and still is. But Vader, as you said, he didn't even have that many lines in the movie. He just was there, and because he was there and like this intimidating, dark, brooding presence, you couldn't help but kind of be drawn to him. Not even because he was like the center of attention, but because he commanded your presence. So when you looked at him, you were drawn to him automatically. And so because of that, I think he's grown so much because he's iconic looking, but also because anything you put him in. Now, we could argue today that this is different, but for the most part, anything you put him in is elevated by his presence. Like, I think I would say the best example I could say is actually Rogue One. Because people still like that movie, but it's made by Disney. Why do people like it? Well, because at the end, you get Darth Vader. You get Darth Vader. A lot of people like that movie more because Darth Vader was in it. If Darth Vader had not been in it, I don't know if it would have been done as well as perhaps it did. So he kind of commanded your attention. Now, I'm not so sure. I think that now he's kind of been diluted a little bit. But I think that it's basically just how iconic he is and how he commands your attention. Doesn't matter what he's doing, even if he's just standing there quietly.
I think part of it is also the mask, because like children will usually be drawn to a face. Darth Vader technically has no face, and I think that's part of his intrigue is that you're just drawn to look at this void of a mask, all black, no expression, just like Master said, there. Mm-hmm. It is quite intriguing.
Yeah, and you're kind of like guessing, is he a robot? Is he some kind of mysterious monster? Is there a person under there? You don't know. Mm-hmm. There's the kind of intriguing mystery about him, and that mystery, of course, it had to be explained with prequels. All right, let's give him a backstory in 3 movies. Now, on paper, that doesn't sound like a terrible idea, but reflecting back on it, maybe, perhaps Vader didn't need a backstory per se, and the general idea of the prequels. Are you for them? Are you against them? Do you think they've strengthened his character or weakened it? Maybe both. What are your guys' thoughts?
I mean, I've always been for the prequels because I grew up watching those too. My parents started me on the originals, and then I remember when Revenge of the Sith came into theaters, and I remember being upset that I wasn't old enough to go see it. I had to wait a couple of years for it to come onto home video before I could finally watch it. And that I remember that really bugging me because I wanted to know what was going to happen. Even though I didn't know because I knew the original story and that these were just the ones that the story explaining it that it came before, but I was still drawn to the story of what is going to happen next. Is he going to become when is he going to become Darth Vader? How is he going to become Darth Vader? Just having been told in the originals that he fell to the dark side, I think the prequels are a very good backstory for him because they actually show how he fell, what led to his fall, his motivations and his struggles in who he was before Darth Vader. All of that is very important to flesh out a proper character, so the prequels hold a lot of value in my mind.
Okay, fair enough. Master, your thoughts?
So my thoughts are kind of similar. I will say this. I will always be happy that I was able to see Revenge of the Sith in theaters when it aired. I will always be happy about that. Because to me, that was the last good Star Wars movie that was worth seeing in theaters. Because
technically Rogue One was also good.
Yes, but it was. If I would gladly sacrifice Rogue One if it meant we never got anything else that came after it.
That's fair.
So that's what I'm saying is like it's not worth it to me. I think of that as the last good Star Wars movie that came out. For me, I think that the prequels do elevate Vader in certain ways, but they also do also hurt him a little because part of his intrigue was he was a mystery. You didn't know, right? It's like sometimes you don't want to know. Like a good example that will relate to some people, nowadays, or especially right now with what's going on, Doctor Who. We didn't need to know where the Doctor came from. That was his intrigue. When you tried to explain it in that case, it ruined his character. Did it ruin Vader's character in this sense? No, it didn't. Were there a couple cheesy scenes here and there, like the no that became memeable? Yes, there were. But to be fair, there were like a bunch of memeable things like that. Now, do I think that getting to see all that was bad in the end goal? No, I don't think it hurt him enough for it to be a problem. Do I think it was only elevating him? No. I think that it definitely did make him a little bit less mysterious. And I want to, the chat's also mentioning, I want to mention, Kenobi really ruined him, I would say. Kenobi has really caused him the most harm, I would say. It wasn't the prequels. The prequels did some damage, and they did some damage to a lot of characters. You have to be honest there. I do wish that George had stuck to his original plan for the prequels, which I don't know if people know is that Jar Jar Binks was actually supposed to be the hidden bad guy the entire time. It was based off a book I forget the name of that where they would find a character where in the book the bad guy turned out to be some like pathetic thing they found on the side of the road. Sound familiar? Yeah, Jar Jar Binks, and there's a bunch of things he does in the first one where you could see him using the Force and all this kind of stuff. I think it would have redeemed Jar Jar's character. I think it would have made it a lot better of an arc. I think when the prequels fell off was having to bring in Count Dooku to kind of replace Jar Jar. But So, as I said, the prequels are not perfect. They have a lot of flaws, and they don't only help characters. They build the backstory for Vader, but they don't give too much away. But they do make him a little less threatening because he's like, now you think of Darth Vader, what do you think of? You think of the couple scenes, I'm your father, what do you think of? No! Right? Like,
He did that because his children and wife were dead.
Yes, but it didn't. The reason people don't like it is not because it wasn't an appropriate reaction. It was because of the tone. You could tell, like, he just pulls himself out. He's like, falls to the floor. And instead of just going, ah! Like, that would have been, like, better. He just goes, no!
I'm pretty sure there is, like, a comic where he just says no. Just no. And then destroys everything with the Force.
Yeah, that would have been better if he just popped in like, no, 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 and then destroyed everything. That would have made a lot more sense. But him going, falling to his knees and then holding out his arms to his side. Now, would I give up that scene? No. I think that it's become immortalized as what it is now. But the point I'm making is it didn't just elevate him. I think it did kind of hurt him a little bit, but not enough to ruin his character, unlike what they did, for example, with Doctor Who. They ruined that.
Or Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, well, Luke, they didn't ruin his origin. They ruined him later on.
Yeah. And
should give them ideas.
Yeah, watching Ahsoka, they might get some ideas. Well, you make up a great point that the prequels, yes, they do make him less mysterious. They do have some cringe moments, but they don't retroactively ruin him in ways we see other characters being ruined in nowadays. It's certainly added to his character, and there is a fantastic story in there of this Jedi who needs to keep his wife a secret, and his passion, his desire is, in the end, his downfall. I think that's how the devil really gets to you, is through your most desired things. We can see that with, the ring in Lord of the Rings, or whether it's any other desired item. And in this case, it was Padme. And, she didn't have much character in the movie. Vader didn't see his son. There's little details you could certainly add to it. There is, like, a fundamental here that's really great that you could build a good house upon. Some of the prequels are like a house with a great fundamental piece, and then all the little bits and pieces aren't so much. Maybe like the window is a little tilted. Like, I wish we could have gotten this and this and this and.
Well, if I may build on what you, if I may build on what you said about him wanting Padme and wanting to keep it a secret. One thing I can tell you that's important for character building is that a character, in order for them to be intriguing, not just that they need to have flaws, which is also important, but they have to want something. The character needs to have a goal in order to accomplish by the end of the story. And when Vader is first introduced, yes, he is a mystery, but what ruins that, what makes him unintriguing is that we don't know, is that he doesn't seem to want anything when he's first introduced. All he's doing is serving his master, but what does he want? Is he actually a robot? Is he just following his wills? When he finds out his son is alive, what does he want? Because by Return of the Jedi, he's appearing to want time with his son, right? Like he wants his son to join him so that he can actually be with his family again. One thing that the prequels did that elevated Vader's character was they gave him a goal. They gave him a desire. It made him more human. They humanized the villain, obviously. But the line Obi-Wan gives, he's more machine now than man. Twisted and evil. He was a man once. He had human desires. He had human emotions. So showing how the human became the machine, I think, is very important to the character.
Oh, definitely.
This is just coming from the thoughts of a writer, so I hope it helps.
No. I'm a wannabe writer who writes and never finishes. So, no,
yeah,
I
I
find
know
this
it's hard. The struggle is real. The struggle is real.
I find these topics fascinating, and yeah, you're exactly right.
Can
Little
I
fun fact. Oh yeah,
butt in
go
one
on.
sec before? I just want to. It's going to be completely off topic, but someone commented about Russell T Davies and making a better origin for the Doctor. And I just want to say one thing real quick before we move on from that.
Right.
Someone mentioned that. What did they say? It doesn't help that people who were writing the whole timeless child story was abysmal at it, going what as Gary Muller say. If Russell T Davies had free reign, he could have written a better origin. No, not anymore. You think you've seen bad for Doctor Who? If the rumors that I heard are true, it's going to get worse. You think it's bad now, just wait for it. It's going to get 10 times worse.
That the toy maker essentially chose David Tennant's Doctor because that was his favorite Doctor, and his favorite show was him with Donna. And he kind of wants to bring back that nostalgia and blah blah blah.
Yeah,
and
but that's
not the rumor master has heard. It's much worse.
I can drop it if anybody wants it. I can drop it right here. I'm fine with it.
Sure, master exclusive on Doctor Who.
It's not exclusive. I found it from a bunch of places. But long story short, what I have heard is the plan is to have, since they brought in a trans character, right? And she is the daughter of Donna Noble, who is the Dr. Donna, right? Mm-hmm. So she was the Dr. Donna, and she passed down her regeneration energy or the meta crisis to her daughter, or the trans character, whatever you want to call her. Mm-hmm. And that's how they got rid of the Dr. Donna and whatever. But that's not the end of that. What I've heard is there, and again, keep in mind, can't confirm any of this. This is just what I've heard. Mm-hmm. What I have heard is the plan is to have a bi-regeneration, meaning there are going to be two, meaning there is not going to be just David Tennant regenerating into Ncuti Gatwa. Is going to be David Tennant splitting off from the Doctor, and then the trans character regenerating into Ncuti Gatwa, but still being the Doctor because it is the Dr. Donna's passing it down. Why are they doing this? Why would this even be an idea? Well, because that way the original Doctor, David Tennant, can go away with his original TARDIS and fly off somewhere, and we never have to see him again. And then we will have a brand new first Doctor. The brand new first Doctor. The first Black Doctor. The first. We'll be getting rid of all of that history of white doctors. All gone. We'll now have the Doctor, who's David Tennant, who flew off somewhere and we never see him again. And then we'll have the Doctor, who is the trans character's regeneration with their own TARDIS, and that will be the Doctor we follow going forward. That's what I've heard. It sounds absolutely ridiculous, but that's why I think it might be true.
Yeah, I remember when there were leaks of Rise of Skywalker. They sounded outlandish, but they were all true. So I really wouldn't be surprised.
Hashtag Master was right.
I really hope that I'm wrong. That's what I've done for research. Again, I know there's something going to happen. I don't know if it's exactly what I've spelled out, but I do know they're planning to do some kind of regeneration thing. Like, again, the last thing they have left to take away from the Doctor is they've already made him a woman. They've already made him all these different things. They've changed everything, right? He's the male, but female, all this stuff. What is the last thing they have that's problematic? His white history. So how do you get rid of it? Make a brand new Doctor who's the first Doctor, but still the Doctor. So it's basically going to be pressing a reboot button for the series without actually rebooting it. So that way, somewhere in the universe far away, David Tennant flies around with his original TARDIS as the Doctor, but Ncuti Gatwa is the new Doctor. He's better, and he's black, so he's more diverse.
People have been complaining. People have been complaining about a police box.
Oh no!
It'll be pink now. Watch.
No, please.
Talking on Doctor Who, you just reminded me of something that I had to bring up for Vader as well. But before I mentioned that, what I wanted to mention beforehand.
Go ahead. Sorry, I know I derailed everything. My bad.
No worries. I mean, what you said sounds terrible. and I swiftly move on to Darth Vader, as a smooth transition can be. What I wanted to mention beforehand is, interestingly enough, this guy over here, Vader was inspired by Doctor Doom.
I feel like I've heard that before.
Mm-hmm.
I think I've heard that as well.
I think, George did take some inspiration from drawings of Jack Kirby's, especially of Doctor Doom. And there are some interesting parallels between Doom and Vader, because Vader had this initial, I guess, thing after Revenge of the Sith to want to learn the secrets of the afterlife, to learn resurrections and blah, blah, blah. It's never really touched on in New Hope or anything like that, or in the movies or blah, blah, blah. You always get it inside stuff, and that kind of really annoying me, because, okay, you joined Palpatine because you wanted this resurrection secrets, and you never dig deeper. You never kind of think twice about it. But essentially what I'm getting to is Doctor Doom is trying to find his mother in the afterlife. I'm not sure if it's Mephisto or not. And in that same vein, Vader is trying to find Padme in the afterlife on his castle in Mustafar, and Doom is trying to find his mother in Latveria. So there's kind of like these parallels of trying to, have dominion of the afterlife, and there's obviously, the cape, the mask, the kind of presence, the voice. There's a lot of similarities that can be drawn from Doom and Vader, and it's interesting because Doom probably is one of the best Marvel villains there is. So yeah, I thought that was a little interesting trivia. And what I also wanted to mention, your Doctor Doctor Who, little bits of news. I came across something interesting when I was researching the little context in the slide that I presented. Originally, there were when the prequels were released and whatnot. There were reports accusing George of racism, that Vader had like all these allegories to slaves and whatnot, and Vader meaning father, and that he's dressed in black and blah 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 blah, and what is this? And George was pretty appalled at the accusations. It is a kind of stupid, I don't know, accusation, because slavery is not just Africa. Slavery is a worldwide thing. Happened in Rome, happened in Greece, happened all over the world. There's still slaves today in this modern age. And to have this narrow-minded attitude, like, this is racist, you can't do this, you can't make him a literal father and dressed in black and be a slave and whatnot. No, that's stuff that added to his character and definitely sent him down further the path of being Darth Vader, of being enslaved, and taking revenge on the Sand People. What do you guys think? Is Vader a racist depiction?
No.
I thought so.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, people, as I like to say, the generation now, people look for things to get offended by. So it makes perfect sense. So now it makes sense that this gets brought back up for people who actually feel that way. But no, it was never that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's plenty of racism in the Galactic Empire, because it's an empire that practices human supremacy, and all other races are pretty much put down. Like, think Admiral Thrawn. The only reason he is the rank of admiral and has the Emperor's favor is because he showed his military genius and his prowess to Palpatine, and therefore earning himself a seat at the table, so to speak. Any other race you find, they're not going to be in the Imperial military. You don't find any alien stormtroopers, alien generals, alien Grand Moffs. Literally, I'm pretty sure, if I'm remembering correctly, Thrawn is the only one that is the only non-human to ever have a high-ranking position in the Empire. Everyone
And
else
he's
is
so
pretty
good.
much,
Yeah.
everyone, because human supremacy, which is what modern-day Star Wars fans seem to forget or not even know.
And they were all mainly men as well. And now it's just like female officers and stuff like that. It's just like, hang on.
I mean, Juno Eclipse was an okay character.
I can't
Good pilot.
remember.
Starkiller, the Force Unleashed, which I'm sure they'll butcher at some point because they need to.
I read I didn't play the game, but I read the novelization, which was great. But it also it's basically about Darth Vader's apprentice and his secret plot to kill Palpatine. Completing the rule of 2 kind of thing.
Remember when he was rumored to be in Ahsoka and it was just a thought cloud?
Yeah, remember when Rey was theorized to be the child of Starkiller and Juno Eclipse?
Now that one I didn't hear. Okay.
That would have actually made her intriguing. Sadly, it is false.
Wow. We can't have nice things in Star Wars these days because the writers don't have brain cells. No,
couldn't have said it better. Oh, why can't all these people just give the series to me? I would do so much better with these scripts. It pains me.
That's not saying a lot because anyone with a brain.
Yeah, I was gonna say, honey, you're very good at what you do, but keep in mind, literally, our pet bird read a better script.
Fair enough, but also keep in mind that I am someone who really, when writing something based in a series that's not an original idea of mine, I work very hard to stick to the lore of that universe. Like, I do my research properly and thoroughly, so I know how to keep my story within the realm of the rules of said universe. And it really bugs me when other people do not.
Yeah,
Sorry,
that's the thing, Raven, because you like Star Wars.
I mean, I haven't touched my Star Wars fan fiction in over a year.
But you see, that's the main difference between you and the people who are writing Star Wars. They don't like Star Wars. They just see the name and just think of the fame, the glory that it can give you, the platform that it can give you.
Well, now it's giving them infamy.
Yeah, and it annoys me so much because it was a thing with the Witcher writers. I'm gonna bring this up till the day I die because this annoyed me so much I wanted to throw my chair. The Witcher writers for the Netflix show did not like the source material. That is, quote unquote, word for word what the producer has said. And that annoys me to high heavens. And I can definitely see it all over our film franchises. And it's so frustrating to see.
I have said it in our own streams and videos that I will never, no matter how many times it's explained to me, I will never understand why the people who hate the franchises are given charge of those franchises.
Because they want to use the franchises as vehicles for their messages and not the franchise itself. That's why they're given.
Yes, I know. You have told me this a zillion times, and my brain does not compute it because of my writer's integrity.
Yeah.
And my code of ethics as a writer. It's like my writer's honor does not want to be sullied by such heresy.
I mean, okay, if you don't want to hire like a nerd or a fan or whatever reason, right? Fair enough. But the one thing that you have to have is good standards for story. Plot comes first. Character comes first. They don't even do that.
I do.
You know, they just write stuff that they believe in. They write themselves in it sometimes all over the place. They're not very creative people either.
That's an understatement.
Nothing.
I mean, at least when I do a self-insert, I'm subtle about it.
Yeah. it's just depressing to see. And with the state of Star Wars for now, Star Wars, I've heard Mauler say this. Mauler the plushie in here, you could probably tell I'm a big Mauler fan.
Mauler does have the cutest plushie of all of them.
Yes. He said that Star Wars has become self-referential. That in order to attract people, it has to refer to itself. That's how poor they're doing. Like, they have to refer to Anakin. Oh, look at this. It's Vader. We've got Christian Haydenson to play him. Why won't you watch this Ahsoka show? Look, he's a blue ghost in here, even though he died as an old man, so technically he should be old. But you know what? I'm not going to even bring that up. What do you guys think they're going to do to Vader, Disney? To me, they're just going to use him as like a fishing hook to lure people in and not much do with him. Someone in the chat spoke about Kenobi as well. I think more so, I don't know if they did too much damage to Vader. It's not as excessive as I thought. I think the most of the excessive damage was done to Kenobi because Kenobi let him go a second time.
And also abandoned his mission to protect Luke.
Yeah, there's that too.
And his promise to never leave Tatooine. I mean, what?
Yeah, there's that too. And no, I was so hoping for Kenobi to be good. It wasn't. It was just fan fiction all over again with Reva. And they did not utilize Vader to his full potential. You can definitely.
There's also a moment when Vader is angry at Reva and is starting to force choke her that he doesn't just kill her outright. Instead, he gives her enough time to speak.
And he would never do that. He would be like, "You failed me once, dead. Bye." We see it.
We see it in the originals. Yes, you were warned what defeat would bring. I will tolerate your weakness no longer.
Snap.
Choke. Blah, 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 blah. Explain. Excuse. Does that sound like Darth Vader to you?
No.
We literally see Vader not behave that way. Remember? He literally even talks to someone. I forget the admiral's names. I'm terrible with these. But he calls them up and he's like, "You have failed me for the last time." And just starts force choking them all the way from there. They just die.
And then promotes someone else immediately. And then there's also that person in the war room next to Grand Moff Tarkin, played by Peter Cushing. Amazing, classic actor. Sorry. And he also just starts to choke someone to death right then and there. Because that really were moments that portrayed him as a true villain. That Vader, when he was upset, would show no mercy, would give no second chances, and would just outright kill his subordinates for merely displeasing him. That is how you do a villain right. Thank you, George Lucas.
No, and it's no wonder that he's risen to such extreme popularity. And it's a shame that he's become nothing more now than just a little mascot, a little tease that you can drop at the end of the show. Especially now that he's a Force Ghost. Oh dear me, you can reference him in any movie now. And not really have to put much work to it. And it's such a shame because I don't know. I feel like I don't know if it's just me, but I love the Clone Wars series as well.
So do I, though I haven't finished it. I kind of don't want to, even though my brother says that the them showing Order 66 actually happening was absolutely amazing. But because I agree with OG Star Wars on this. The clones actually being loyal to Palpatine the whole time was not supposed to be with organic chips in their brains. It was supposed to be indoctrination from the earliest days of their training. Like you can see them in their when you pass through the clone facilities and you see them in the training rooms with these headsets on, that is supposed to imply that they are suddenly being brainwashed to obey Order 66 when the order is finally given. So
Yeah.
that's something OG Star Wars pointed out once, and I completely agree with her on that. The idea that they could just remove these chips from their brains and that undoes everything, and therefore there are clones that did not carry out Order 66. There actually were a few clones that didn't carry out Order 66, but that was because they were defective clones, so to speak, clones that were able to think for themselves, such as Captain Rex. Because if you look at Captain Rex throughout the Clone Wars series, he's a lot more creative than the rest of his brothers. He's quicker thinking. He has more ideas. When Cody says this idea is never going to work, and then it actually ends up working, it shows his intelligence. But Rex never really let it. Really usually kept it on the down low, especially around the Kaminoans, because they despised defective clones. If any clone was not within the parameters of what they wanted the perfect soldier to be, that clone would be eliminated, which is kind of where my fanfiction comes in, because I write about a female clone, but I do it right. If I may explain, this female clone that I wrote...
Would it be anything like Bad Batch?
Omega? No.
Yeah.
Because you see, my female clone that I wrote, Blade, is not supposed to exist. The only reason she was born female was because her growth pod malfunctioned and changed her DNA sequence very early on in her conception, which I even explained in the first chapter. And so she's 99 takes her, gives her to a stealth ops squad, and she's literally raised inside a gunship and has to hide inside a crate when they're out on missions, sometimes for days at a time, because no one is allowed to know that she exists. What they did with Omega and having her be the twin of Boba and her being a natural clone when all clones are supposed to be male, and not to mention that she's never shot a gun before the first episode and is sitting around like a pretty little princess with a tiara on her head, really bugs me.
Yeah, you have to get female DNA from somewhere. It can't just appear out of nowhere. Like, you have male DNA. You are not turning that to female. I'm sorry, that's bullshit.
Like I said, that's why in my version, I wrote it that it was a pod malfunction. It did not happen. It was not purposeful. It was a complete accident, a fluke, one that never happened again after they discovered the anomaly. But that's just my self-promotion. Forgive me for the tangent.
No worries.
But also my explanation. On how to do a character right. Stick to the lore. You're welcome.
Yep. I wholeheartedly agree. Master, did you want to say something?
No, I'm good.
He was also just telling me to wrap off my tangent.
No, I was also telling you because I could hear you from the other room, and the neighbors can also hear you, and they don't protect us.
For the neighbors.
I'll try not to scream too much. I might wake up my neighbors. The thing is, what I wanted to touch on as well. I always end this out with, like, final question, I suppose. With it being, let me look at the list. Did you find Vader's conclusion satisfying? And how so? Were their arc complete, or do you think they'll just keep drugging him out as a blue Force ghost?
I want to go first here.
Yeah, I was about to say, you go first.
So, yes, his arc was good until Disney got their hands on him. Literally, they've dragged him out to be like, look, we have the shiny thing you like. Please come watch our garbage. Dingle, 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 dingle. And it's like,
jangle the keys. Yes.
Just because you jangle the keys and they go, instead of jingle, doesn't mean I'm actually going to go and watch your garbage.
Nanda?
Yeah, I'm so tired of this. Like, did you see I don't know if you saw some of the promotion they were doing for Kenobi, heavily using Darth Vader. I don't know if you saw, they have like this like virtual like billboard thing. I don't know if you ever saw it. Like, it makes look like something's actually reaching out. They had like Darth Vader on this virtual billboard, like pulling out his lightsaber and slashing. And I'm just like, Oh my god, he's dead already. Leave him alone. He's dead. He's dead. He died. It's over. You want to do prequel stuff with Ever? Fine. But come on, just stop. They couldn't even leave him alone in Ahsoka. They had to make it, oh, we bring back Anakin and have him flash for a second and it's Darth Vader. Oh, look. He Vadered.
I was about to say that. Thank you,
Vadered.
Grace Randolph.
He
Who
Vadered.
has my husband blocked on Twitter?
Yeah, the first time I interacted with her, like once, she got annoyed at my take and blocked me immediately.
Master, you get blocked by a tremendous amount of people, I see. Like,
He got
wow.
blocked by a certain someone who crapped in a bed.
Yeah, when she had Twitter, I was one of the people she had blocked. Yes, that was true.
Wow. That is a badge of honor, sir. Wow.
Well, she doesn't have Twitter anymore. She got rid of it. I'm sure it's still there, but she keeps like reactivating it or whatever, and then you deactivating, which you can do every 30 days. But no, I one day just noticed that I couldn't see any of the posts. I was like, "What's going on?" And I clicked on it, and it had me blocked. I'm pretty sure she had one night where she was drunk and was like messaging and attacking people, and I just came in there, basically said like kind of the truth will win out or something like that. And maybe that's what she blocked me for. Otherwise, I have no idea. Because I was so sure it was like a chain block, you know? And like nobody else was. I'm like, oh, okay. So it's me, like Yellow Flash, that Umbrella guy, and like 2 other people. And it's like, oh, okay. So it wasn't a chain block thing.
Very nice.
But-
Very nice. I'm sure you're blocked by Lucasfilm writers as well.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm positive. I'm blocked by Entertainment Weekly. I do not understand that.
I don't know how people can get blocked by.
I'll tell
think
you.
that's what it is. Yeah.
I know that one. Okay?
Mhm.
They posted an interview for the Marvels. Right? They posted it. And all I responded with was, no thanks, hand wave. That's it. The emoji for waving? No thanks. Pat. They hid my comment and blocked me for saying no thanks. That's all I said, and they blocked me for that.
Bitch made.
Disgusting Film blocked me for misgendering, which was, I think that's what it is. Film Updates blocked me for making a poop joke about Amber Heard. And the MCU Direct has me blocked too, because I dared to say Ironheart is a terrible character, and they didn't like that. And I know it was the reason because the person who runs the MCU Direct came after me personally,
Okay.
and was very annoyed at me. But yeah, so I know it was off topic, but yes.
Yeah, that's fascinating. But Twitter, what a bizarre place. But no, going back to the conclusion of Vader's arc. I don't know about you two, but out of the original Star Wars movies, I agree. Empire Strikes is objectively the best. But my favorite is Return of the Jedi. Purely
That
because
is a
of
very
conclusion.
good conclusion to a story.
Yes. We
Can
Nowadays, we see it so rarely. Good endings in shows or movies. You know, usually sometimes something has a good start, TV show wise, and then it just gets towards the end and it's just, I rarely see media that with an ending that I was really satisfied with. And Star Wars is one of those things. Yeah.
That, and also we see they keep bringing things back. They can't let characters end. Like, does Indiana Jones have to have a conclusion? Can we just leave it alone?
Well, it had a conclusion. It was the last episode of Young Indiana Jones.
I also want to clarify one thing that I'm going to see someone talking about in the chat. This will make absolutely no sense. Turns out that person wasn't actually thinking they were a cow. They were furry, and that doesn't make it much better, but there you go.
Okay.
Yeah, there was someone mad at me
yeah.
yesterday who called herself a non-binary queer cow. Don't even ask.
That could either mean the animal or the British word for itchbay.
No, it turned out that it was that they're furry, but they didn't feel the need to say they're furry. They just said, "Hi, my name is Blah, and I'm a non-binary queer cow." And it was like, okay, sure, you do that. Sorry, derailing conversation seems to be my thing tonight. I apologize.
Furries are weird. Furries are very weird.
Let's not go there. But let's get back on track.
Let's just Black Templar them and exterminatus their entire species.
Honey,
what?
Be careful what you say, okay?
What? I'm not the one who came up with the Black Templars doing it.
Yes, but okay, let's be careful what we say. But getting back on track to Vader and whatever, yeah, I think he had a good ending. The problem was they keep bringing him back, just like Indiana Jones, just like all this kind of stuff. So to answer the question, did he have a good conclusion? Yes, and that's how it should stay. We don't need him to come back.
Yeah.
But Palpatine returned, so why shouldn't he?
Somehow. Which completely ruined that part of the story, too!
Somehow I returned.
I don't know. The guy blew up twice.
They call it clones.
No. I love the part where they explain how he force projected himself to Exegol. So while his body was shooting lightning and screaming while falling down to the reactor shaft, you could see it happening, right? Apparently, his soul was no longer in the body. So the body was shooting lightning and screaming, but nobody was home. And we're supposed to buy that.
Nope. Not buying it.
Yeah,
That's just lazy.
Yeah.
That is not even lazy writing. That's just crap writing.
Like,
That is an insult to crap writing.
the prequels imply that he has some sort of secrets to the afterlife, but I always thought that he's bullshitting him, he's stringing him along to be this, murderous servant.
I mean, possibly. Sith alchemy is a thing, and there are a lot of different things that can be accomplished through Sith alchemy. Whether returning people to life is one of them, I do not remember. OG Star Wars might know, because she seems to know everything regarding the EU.
It's what, at the end of the day, that's what brought Vader to the dark side, because he was so worried about losing Padme that he wanted a insurance policy, I should say, to bring her back. At least that's what some of the side stuff implies, but it's frustrating. I'd love to get more details prequel-wise. Like, I would not accept reboots of the original movies at all. But I wouldn't mind the prequels being rebooted, perhaps, by a good writer. But then again, I wouldn't trust them nowadays to write anything apart from...
Yeah, absolutely not.
Because, again, like I said, there's fascinating concepts in the sequels. It's just not executed as well as it could have been. There is like a Greek tragedy to Vader, and what his conclusion says about him is what he prioritizes the most is his family.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see him having that dilemma as Palpatine is shooting lightning at him. He's having that moment, like this monster of the human being is having second thoughts nowadays. Like he's probably watched countless of Jedis being killed by his own hand. But why can't you let this one go? It's because it's his son, who specifically came to him to help him.
But also the fact that when think of even though we don't get to see his actual reaction, him finding out that Padme had died and him not knowing that the children had been born devastated him and was his suffering part of falling to the dark side. Yes. So imagine 17 to 20 years later, he finds out he has a son, that Padme did have the baby, and he has an offspring still alive somewhere, and using the Skywalker name. Even if that alone should, if you think about it from a logical standpoint and going through everything I know about character writing, that would have reignited a spark of what was once human inside him, and him seeking out Luke was him wanting to meet his son, the only anchor of Padme he have left. So that actually brings me back to what you had mentioned before about him maybe trying to bring Padme back to life, but it never being mentioned at all in the originals. I think that at that point, after 17 plus years, because Luke's 17 in A New Hope, right? 17, 18, I think.
Maybe I thought, okay, I didn't know he was that young.
I'm pretty sure he was at least 17. So
blew up the Death Star at 17. Impressive.
Yeah, at least that's my thought. So him trying for, I would say that by then, by A New Hope, he's tried already to revive Padme. I do know that there is a comic of him visiting Padme's tomb. And in her funeral scene, it was shown that they had faked pregnancy on her corpse because no one was allowed to know that she had indeed had the children. They were supposed to have died with her. So him visiting Padme's grave and mourning over her, maybe him even trying to bring her back with some Sith alchemy that Palpatine may have taught him, and it not working. If you read it between the lines of that and allow the imagination to fill in those gaps with that kind of context in mind, if it doesn't work, no matter how many times he tried, he would give up hope that Padme was never going to come back to him, that she actually was lost and that his children were lost with her. So finding out that he has a son alive would have elated him and made him want to seek out Luke. But he does it the only way he now knows how, through evil means.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make any sense?
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. And, it's the attitude of, well, I lost Padme, I lost my sons, twins even.
Lost his humanity.
I've got nothing to lose. So I might as well follow this guy's order. I might as well rule over the galaxy, become that powerful Jedi that the prophecies told. It's that kind of like apathy / nihilism kind of approach to his mentality that after a great loss that he just surrendered himself to Palpatine.
Because like you said, he has nothing left. Mm-hmm. He has lost everything. And so all that's left is to follow his master's orders. Because he's basically an automaton at that point. He is now the machine that was once a man. So, discovering he has a son alive, even before he knew about that Leia was his daughter, that is going to revive the human within the machine. And that is a very intriguing part of his character.
Yep, exactly. And his ending was perfect. In every way imaginable. Say what you will about Return of the Jedi, Ewoks, whatnot, fighting off the Empire. How the hell are they doing it? But they ended Vader's story really well.
Yeah, they ended it with the human and not the machine. He says, "Help me take off this mask. Let me see you with my own eyes, my human eyes. You get to see the man underneath the metal. He gets to be human again one last time."
And no one. That was the thing about Vader. Like, I think there was a scene in Empire Strikes Back as well. I think there may have been some in Rogue One as well, where he always when he has to sleep in a hibernation pod, he keeps it all very secret. No human can see him in his burnt robotic state when he doesn't have the suit on. He's always very secretive, but in here, he doesn't care. It's his son. Let him see him with his own eyes. He's dead anyway. And yeah, there's definitely a kind of beauty to that. And what Luke should definitely come to the conclusion of after all of this is what was the ultimate downfall for Vader? Well, it was his family. And perhaps if the Jedi didn't have such strict rules towards having families and such, Vader wouldn't have succumbed so easily to the dark side. And maybe him establishing a new Jedi Order, allowing people to have families and such. Because I think Kenobi is like a good prequel era Jedi who's, disconnected himself from all possessions, all attachment, and is completely in focus with the Force. Luke, I would say, definitely fights more so for his friends, for his family, and that kind of spurs him on. And I think it'd be fascinating to see with that mindset to establish a new Jedi Order. But of course, we got what we got, and it was terrible. They didn't really use Vader's ending to any advantage whatsoever. They just, nope, he gave up on an island. He didn't come to any conclusion with Vader's death and what was the downfall of the Jedi. No lessons pulled from it, and that is frustrating because that ending to Vader was beautifully done.
Yes, it was.
And Luke could probably learn something from it,
Yeah.
Master, what are your thoughts?
No, I agree. I was letting you guys kind of just hash it out because.
Well, you could go into the psychology of Darth Vader. I just go into the character building.
I'd rather not. People have asked me to do that, and there's this whole thing about Anakin and Darth Vader being two separate people, and that his two multiple personalities, and I just don't even want to bother. And out of respect for the last person who asked me, I'm not going to bring it up because unfortunately that person is no longer with us. I don't know if you are familiar with Uche from Geeks and Gamers. Me and him and Oshi Star Wars had a back and forth on Twitter a while back about Luke having multiple personalities, whatever. It was the last kind of conversation I had with him before he passed away. So I just never touched on it since. And to be honest, I think the whole argument is kind of dumb. But look, I think that Vader is the perfect embodiment of a character who goes through hardships, falls and gets back up again. Now, people will like to use them and say, oh, well, this is Luke too in the sequels. It's not. It's not. Vader doesn't act against his character. You see, that's the difference, is that Vader acts, even as Anakin, acts for his own sake. He acts for the people he cares about. That's what he's always done. What happens? He becomes evil because he cares about somebody. What happens at the end? He turns back because he cares about somebody. It is the perfect end to the sandwich. The beginning starts, I cared and I became evil, and I cared and I came back to being good. Sandwich, bun, close it up. Perfect. That's the idea. There doesn't need to be any adding. You could, it's a sandwich. You can add whatever you want in the middle, but the ending works. And that's the idea, is that in the end, his flaw becomes his strength. And that's, I think, the best redeeming and what makes Vader such an amazing character is because his flaw, what caused him to become Vader, what caused everything to happen, his caring, ends up being what saves the universe at the end. And then they had to drag everything back up for the sequels, and they ruined it because that's not what happened. It's not what happened at all.
The fact that you can see that Luke inherited that caring and that he's always trying to bond with his father, saying, I feel the good within you, let go of your hate, and trying to bring him back to the good side because he cares, because he wants his father, and is sad when his father finally dies. It shows that, yes, he is definitely Vader's son because of how much he cares. Like, the whole reason he goes to Cloud City, or whatever that place was called, is because he cared about his friends, even though both Yoda and Obi-Wan said, don't go, don't go, don't go. It's a trap. Do not go. I can't get that vision out of my friend. He says, I can't get that vision out of my head. They're my friends. I need to help them. He goes because he cares.
I want to bring up one more thing to take on what you're saying, Raven, is that you mentioned also that Vader acts very robotic at certain points. And that's, I think, also very important to point out, because he became an unfeeling machine. He lost the thing that he cared about the most.
Mm-hmm.
It devastated him. Cheesy the way it did, but still.
Yeah.
He lost everything, right? He
Like I
became
said.
an unfeeling, unthinking, follow everybody monster. What brought him back? Recognizing that he had had something to live for, that there were still things to care about. That's what brought him back from the brink. At the end, he's watching his son, the son he didn't know he has, watching him, and he's like, what am I doing? I can't watch this. I literally, everything I did was to become a person who could save the people I care about. And whether I like it or not, I care about my son. And I can't let him die.
Yeah. No. That's really brilliant said. I could not have put that
His
better.
his kind of indifference when he discovers that Leia is actually his daughter,
Mhm.
when he discovers that that Luke has a twin sister, and he says, "Oh," he seems like completely indifferent to that, which is why I really like how it should have ended. The how it should have ended video about his reaction. Wait,
Yeah.
what? I'm the daughter too? No way! Everyone,
Probably
I
like,
have
oh, now you gotta
daughter!
stop.
I wish we could have actually gotten a reaction instead of just tell your sister you were right. I
Yeah.
really do wish that there had been a reaction to him finding out that he had 2 children alive and not just the one. But oh well, I guess we'll never get that. Maybe there was still maybe that at that point there was still part of him that was still machine, I suppose.
The dialogue implies he's legit about his knowledge, but he's definitely stringing Anakin along, and would have had Padme killed one way or another to get Anakin to fall.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Not
So-
wrong at all.
Definitely see Palpatine.
I actually want to
Yeah.
bring up something I actually heard, because I know we're running out of time. I know you're going to keep it to a certain amount of time, but I want to bring up one thing I actually heard yesterday, which actually, so I found out about it while I was making we make shorts, little meme shorts for our videos to transition between things now to keep people interested. And I made one about Rey looking at the throne, and it turns out to be Boss Nass going instead of anything else. But I found out that apparently we were robbed a lot in the prequels. And one of the things we were robbed of was that apparently the scene fighting Emperor Palpatine was not supposed to be the way that we got it, where all the Jedis died like right away. They were supposed to have like a stunt double take over, and George insisted that Ian take over at the last minute, and he didn't know what he was doing. So there's a lot more nuance to this kind of stuff that we will never know. And I think that one of the things that would have potentially happened, we don't know if like maybe there was more to Emperor Palpatine's knowledge that he didn't bring up. Maybe there was supposed to be a scene. What I honestly think would have happened is if Padme hadn't died that way, I think what Emperor Palpatine would have, or Palpatine, whatever you want to call him, would have done, would have somehow killed her himself and made it look like the Jedi did it. So that way he could poison Anakin against them further, because that's what he probably would have done. Because again, Anakin cared about the Jedi. He did. Why do you think he was so dedicated? He cared. He was so angry. You're putting me on the council, not making me a master. This is embarrassing. You know, he did care about being a Jedi. He cared about other people more. And that's the thing, you know. So sure, Palpatine had secret knowledge, but I honestly don't think that Palpatine was meant to actually be able to like force project himself and all that stuff that Disney came up with. I think that's a load of trash. Do I think there was a way to keep people safe that you cared about? Absolutely. The Force was able to do a lot of different things. Do I think he would have actually given Vader that knowledge? No. I think it was always the little carrot on a stick. Here you go, Vader. Go do my bidding. Here, if you do it, oh, whatever. But then, of course, when Padme dies, why is Vader serving him still? Because he has nothing left. He had nothing to live for. So what was he doing? He was just living for his master. And then suddenly he finds out he has something to live for. And so he fights back. Because you can watch him in the original trilogy, you can watch him go from unfeeling to anger to unfeeling to starting to care. Why doesn't he kill Luke? You know? In the second one, why doesn't he kill him? He's got him right there. No, Luke, I am your father. Why? Why are you announcing you're my father? You're literally... Why do you care now? Because he knows. He's like, I don't want to lose my son. That's why Luke says, I can sense the conflict within you. Let go of your hate. Because his hate was blinding him. Not his hate of the Jedi, but his hate of himself. Because who killed Padme? He did.
Or he thought he did.
He did. Why did Padme die? Why did she die?
She lost the will to live.
She lost the will to live. Garbage. I think, honestly, she realized the person she loved died, basically, for lack of a better term. He was gone. And you ever hear of people who live for a long time, true love, all that kind of stuff, when one of them passes away, the other one passes away very quickly afterwards. That's what I like to think anyways. I don't think that was what it was meant, but I like to think that it was like Padme found out, hey, Anakin, you're going down a path I can't follow. You're breaking my heart. You know, like, who are you? What happened to my Anakin? Where is he? He's dead. And when she found out he was dead, she had no reason to live either, because without him, she was missing something.
I mean, she had the children, and kind of stupid that she was never given a cesarean section. It was just had to be induced.
There's a lot of things you can take away from it. Again, as I said, the prequels aren't perfect, but I do think you can look at the prequels. There's like nice little nuggets of information and things that if you put together can really enhance Vader's story, while there are also things that don't. But I wish, as I said, I do wish George had stuck to his original vision, because that would have made it a lot better, I think, in my opinion. But we'll never know, unfortunately. But I do think, as I said, the best part of Vader is that his greatest weakness becomes his greatest strength.
Yes. That love, that care, ultimately led to his downfall, but it also redeemed him. And that is...
That is great character writing.
It's
exactly.
Poetry. It rhymes.
And that's why, even though people don't like the prequels, and look, there are things about the prequels that I don't like either. I'll be completely honest. But I would watch the prequels again and again and again. Why? Because even if they're not perfect, they complete that story arc. You see Anakin care. His caring is what makes him different, right? But then it causes him to fall. And then at the end, it also causes him to rise. It causes him to rise up. Why is the last movie, and I'm not talking about the sequels, why is the last one called Return of the Jedi? Everybody thinks, well, that's Luke. No.
Not just Luke.
I think it's Return of the Jedi, meaning that Anakin returns. At the end, even though he dies, he becomes a Jedi again. The Return of the Jedi.
True, and fulfilling the prophecy of bringing balance to the Force by killing his master and then killing himself.
But that's what I'm saying, is people like to say, oh, it's Luke. Luke's the Jedi. Luke didn't build the temple yet. The Jedi weren't back. So who's the Jedi who comes back? Luke didn't not be a Jedi. So saying, oh, he returned. Return of the Jedi. Because Luke's now a Jedi. Yeah, at the end he has the iconic line, I'm a Jedi like my father before me. But who was the person who brought back the balance? It was Vader coming back and being a Jedi. Because then there wasn't one, there was two. In the end, there was two Sith Lords. There were two Sith, Palpatine, Vader. One Jedi. What happened? Vader became a Jedi. Boom. Balance of power shifts. Darkness gone. The end.
Originally, it was called Revenge of the Jedi.
I don't like that. That would have been a bad name for it, because it would mean revenge is anger. You can't do that. I'm glad they changed that.
I thought definitely. I guess to touch on a little bit what I've remembered. What do you think of Vader having apprentices? So we obviously have Starkiller and Ahsoka. I'm very much so of the opinion that Ahsoka should have died.
Yeah, I agree.
Vader should have killed her.
I think my wife and I are both on the same page. If she didn't die during the Clone Wars,
during Order 66, then she should have died in Rebels at the end of her fight with Vader. Because that I think is just a beautiful ending to her character. Her realizing what her master has become, her saying that she's going to avenge his death. Revenge is not the Jedi way. I am no Jedi. Because remember, she left the Jedi Order. She literally is not a Jedi anymore. She's now just a Force user with lightsabers.
Well, now she's a Jedi again because...
Well, no. Ahsoka, the Ahsoka show is not canon.
It is canon, as in put it into a cannon and blast it the heck away from me.
Exactly. It's not actual canon. It's canon
I mean,
fodder.
There's potential there because it's just like, okay, she's not a Jedi.
But I remember when the Clone Wars movie came out in 2008, right before they actually aired the show that went with it, and Obi-Wan and after Ahsoka is assigned to Anakin, Obi-Wan and Yoda are talking and saying, let's hope that Anakin is ready for this responsibility. And Yoda says, ready he is to teach an apprentice. To let go of his people, a greater challenge it would be. Master this, Skywalker must. The whole reason he was given an apprentice was to learn to let go of attachments, which further cements his character in him caring too much and not being able to let go of Padme. Because what was he told? What did Yoda tell him when Anakin said he was having visions of someone he cares for dying? Yoda said, train yourself to let go of everything you fear to lose. And he couldn't do it. Even after given that apprentice to train him to do it, and the prequel to the prequel, he couldn't do it. He could never let go of what he cared for. Because if you look at relationships between Jedi Masters and their Padawans, it often goes from a teacher-student relationship to a parent-child relationship. Like surrogate parent and child kind of relationship. And that was especially true if you look at the interactions between Ahsoka and Anakin throughout the Clone Wars show, is that he really did care, no matter how much she annoyed him. And part of her personality was that they really got on each other's nerves, but that also is what made them get along so well. And that's why her leaving the Jedi ended up hurting him.
Oh, definitely. And I didn't know that what you just mentioned there, that assigning Ahsoka was a lesson in letting go. That's fascinating.
I like to think of it that way too. But to quickly, I know we're getting closer to the time we like to wrap things up at a certain amount of time. But to finish off kind of what we were saying, because she basically went through Ahsoka. I like Starkiller. I think the story behind him was cool. I think they did a good job with him. Did I really think of him as like mainline canon? No, I didn't. Do I think Ahsoka? Did I think of Ahsoka that way? No. Did I hate her? No. I think she should have died. I think she was dead. I think that bringing her back and saying she's a master and all this garbage they're doing with her is ridiculous. But they're going to keep doing it because now Dave Filoni's got promoted. So I know, as I literally said the day the announcement was made, I said, Dave Filoni's been promoted, so get ready for more Ahsoka, because that's what he's going to do. Because someone in the chat actually says it perfect. Primark117 says, remember how time travel was introduced to Star Wars purely to save Ahsoka? Filoni has trouble letting go, too. Hey, Dave Filoni, maybe it's time that you let go of everything you fear to lose.
Boom.
Yeah. And yeah, there's that addition to, there's a lot you could play around with Ahsoka's death. You know, she says she's not a Jedi, so Vader's fine. I won't hunt you down then. You know, I don't kind of.
It was also. I also think it was a beautiful fight scene.
Yeah, and you know, Vader might be not wanting really to search for her because.
But there's also that one part, you know? In that one part in their fight scene when a part of his mask gets broken off and you can see Anakin underneath the mask with the yellow Sith eyes.
Which Kenobi.
There's a moment when she says, I just want to finish this one thought and then you can wrap up. When she says, I won't leave you, not this time. You see conflict in his face underneath the mask. And for just a moment, you can see him being human again. And then immediately he stamps it down and says, then you will die, and reactivates his lightsaber. And then she dies, in my head.
Yeah.
I like them not showing her dying, though. I thought that was perfect. You know, just show a thing closed down. We know what happens. We don't have to see her die. Just do that. Perfect. End. You know what would have been cool? You know what would have been cool? You know what would have been cool?
Master.
No,
I think they should have showed her death.
I disagree. Let me tell you why.
Just so no time travel should I hear. She's dead.
Can I explain why? Can I explain why? I would have kept her. I would have done that because then I would have made a show called Ahsoka. And you know what I would have done? I would have made it that it starts off with live action, the end of that fight. And the show is called Ahsoka because it starts with the end of Ahsoka. And what do we do now? Ahsoka's gone. who will take up after her, who will whatever. Maybe we find out that Ahsoka's been training someone in secret. Maybe they try to avenge their master. There's a great story that could have been done there, and we could have still called the show Ahsoka, honoring her. That's the only way I would have made it an Ahsoka show. Sorry. But see, my idea is good.
I would have delved into Clone Wars for frick's sake, not done this whole...
But think about it. Think about it. Would you have tuned into Ahsoka if you knew the battle from Rebels was actually, we get to see, like, they redo some of the scenes from Rebels in live action. You get to see Vader fighting Ahsoka live action. Give me that. That's I would have watched. The rest, garbage, trash.
I want to see him running her through. and
No,
her not surviving.
No, that's what you do. You have the story of the Ahsoka show be, how do we live without Ahsoka? She's dead now. What do we do?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you find out that she's been training someone in secret, and then they find out that she died, or maybe you focus on the team from Rebels. Maybe they find out, oh, she's dead. What do we do now? Who knows? There's so much you could have done there. But no, let's bring her back. Let's use time travel. Whatever.
Time travel is such a cop-out.
Yeah. I know Dave Filoni says it's not time travel, technically. The veil is blah, 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 blah. It's
blah, 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 blah. Dave, we all know.
Blah,
you just
blah,
had
blah.
trouble letting go.
Deus Ex Machina, excuse to bring back a beloved character that everyone that's so popular because everyone loves her, and then completely ruin her just because she's popular.
He likes her too much.
Mm-hmm.
He needs to let go.
That bombshell. And on that bombshell, we'll be finishing out the show. It has been a pleasure to have you two on. Some great wisdom has been said today, not coming from me.
You're welcome.
No, you're very knowledgeable about things too. Don't discredit yourself.
Thank you. Anyway, with that, would you guys like to promote anything? Plug anything in?
We should have a video dropping sometime tomorrow, or I think tomorrow. I'm going to aim for tomorrow. I'm the one who edits them, so I'm whatever. We are going to have another Gothic Therapy recommends. We're going to be recommending Renfield, the movie Renfield. So if anybody's curious about our thoughts on that, spoiler free, mind you, you can check that out.
Well, as spoiler free as we could make it.
No, it's spoiler free. We didn't give the main plot lines or anything away. We mentioned like a scene or two that we liked. No main spoilers. So if you're looking for just a recommendation thing, that's coming out tomorrow. We have our psychosynopsis on Sunday.
Hopefully.
No, we will. We'll figure it out. I already know what we're doing, honey. Don't worry.
All right.
We're very busy lately. There's stuff going on. December's a busy month. We can't say much, but
oh yeah.
Also,
coming.
No, here's what I will say, okay? I'm saying nothing else, okay? So, Josiah, if you're watching this at any point, I didn't say anything. You didn't hear anything, okay? I would just recommend that if you're not following or subscribed to Epicverse on YouTube or Twitter, you should do so, because Raven and I are part of that, and there's stuff going on. That's all.
Yes, I get to write the movies.
Busy. So, yeah, but yes, stuff's coming up. Things are happening.
And Hanukkah.
Subscribe, like, share. Do whatever you want.
Subscribe to Gothic Therapy. And look at all of the links in our link trees. You will find some interesting stuff.
Oh, yeah, but be careful about the last one in my link tree. I don't know if I love hoping everybody will find out that last link because it's hilarious.
Yeah.
Did you figure that out?
Links in the description.
You didn't explore the link tree, did you?
No.
I am such a troll. I am such a troll. There is one link way at the bottom that I've never mentioned anywhere, and there's a reason why I never mentioned it. Is because it's not a real link. Yeah, I am evil.
Okay. I suppose you get
No,
that.
no, my love, you're devious. There's a slight.
No, I'm just a troll. That's literally a troll. Anyways, let's not keep them
You're way
anymore.
too handsome to be a troll.
I'm the king of the goblins, not the trolls. Sorry. But troll in the Twitter, troll.
I'm about to watch the extended editions of Lord of the Rings. I've only ever watched bits and pieces of Lord of the Rings. So
we were talking. No, he was quoting Harry Potter.
Oh.
I was quoting the Professor Quirrell. Troll in the dungeon.
Sorcerer's
I
Stone.
I just binged the Harry Potter movies. How did I not remember that for our live stream?
I don't think I remember watching. I think I've watched like the Harry Potters, the original, the couple first like 4 of them a bunch, and then I've watched each one after that once, and that was enough. I never want to watch them again.
Yeah, they
I'm done.
degraded
Bye.
quality after the third.
Anyways, let's let him go because it's late.
Yes.
But well, early, I guess, by him. Let's see if he can get some more sleep. But thanks for having us. We really appreciate it.
Indeed,
No,
this
it's
was
been a pleasure
fun.
to have you on. Oh,
I
thank you
like
so
I
much
like
for
going on rants and raves about how to properly write a character.
Oh, one
Me
more
too.
thing, just before I forget. We should be having a sound upgrade to our videos and stuff as of tomorrow. Hopefully, we're gonna mess with that a little bit. Our Renfield video is still going to be regular quality because we already have it recorded. But I'm hoping that going forward we will have some new sound quality. So if people are, I know some people aren't super happy with the sound quality of certain things sometimes, and we've tried to mess with it. But yeah. Anyways, rambling. That's enough.
Anyway, as for myself, what I'd like to show, I will be doing a stream on Sunday. There's been some interesting comments on my recent Spider-Man video, and yeah, I just thought I'd respond to some criticisms are fair. Like, okay, yeah, maybe I didn't go into detail here and blah blah blah. But no, it was such a chore to write, record, and edit that video. It took so long, and I'm glad you guys are smashing that like button and subscribe button. It really is humbling to see people actually watch a video you spend a lot of time on. So thank you so much everyone for watching that video and checking that out. And yeah, I will be breaking it down, perhaps revealing what I cut out, and yeah, reflecting on it. Maybe what could I have edited out or done better? Because I think that Spider-Man game really disappointed me in numerous ways. And of course, yeah, there will be a character study on Spider-Man. I promise you that. I just need to think a little on who's nerdy on really nerdy on Spider-Man. I think Wicked Virtue is a Spider-Man fan.
You could always ask the Bugle Daily.
Bugle Daily as well, and I think I've had him on the
Well,
show
I don't know if he's a
before,
Spider-Man fan exactly, but
yeah, and there's also Caffeinated Wolf, Andrew. We were nerding out on Spider-Man on my show, so those 2 guests I'm thinking to invite, but I think I'm missing someone in terms of Spider-Man fandom. But yeah, I want that to be a big stream because I know next to everything about Spider-Man. Huge Spider-Man fan. Anyway, guys, thank you all so much for sticking with us, and I will see you all next stream. Bye.